Nigeria and South Africa, two of the largest economies in the sub-Saharan Africa. When what is striking again, as I mentioned earlier, are the similarities between these two demographics. And whilst the rankings don't necessarily correspond to each other, the similar topics are there. Now, many universities have been collaborating with Coursera for Campus and have been doing so very successfully through various options, either via standalone options for credit with content being offered on campus that would typically be which would typically be a subject that is probably not being taught in the curriculum. For example, Internet of Things, or if Coursera was Internet of Things or machine learning, which are not typically part of a standard curriculum. Alternatively, a blended learning option could usually be aligned to a course that is being taught on campus, and also a multidisciplinary learning option where students or indeed faculty members are learning beyond the core or elective curriculum on an advanced concept or a job-specific role, which ties in very well with what is being offered. Now, the way this works, for example, is that, to put this into context, what we see here is an example of what, for example, would be an MBA specialization in data analytics program. Just a high-level overview, of course, but whilst the core primary offering by the university is the bedrock of that program, more and more institutions are being able to collaborate at speed in ensuring that other aspects of importance that may not be able to be included or addressed from existing subject matter experts or limited resources can seamlessly be integrated to sit alongside and to complement and to enrich that said program. And so either specializations or certificates from industry, project-based tasks that focus on doing as well as knowing about the subject, and also behavioral attributes and skills which are just as important as the technical components. So, we are seeing collaboration which is not just being simply implemented on a singular level at an institution level, but also on a national and federal level, which can enhance an entire national education system. For example, in Morocco just recently, this year, public universities wished to lower their dropout rates and enhance student employability prospects, as well as switching to a 4-year bachelor system. Now, students previously were on a 3-year program, but they're now moving on to a 4-year program in Morocco, with the first year very much being a foundational and focused session on language and professional skills development. To launch this new skills-driven curriculum, the Ministry of Education in Morocco encouraged 13 universities to use Coursera to address these factors through this consortium. We will be seeing over 300,000 students who will learn on Coursera and with Coursera over the next 4 years as part of their bedrock curriculum from those universities. It's these sorts of collaborations that we see growing across campuses, working together at scale to improve the future prospects for a generation who will one day ultimately shape not only their own lives, but determine the future direction of the country as well. Through multiple sources of education and content, working together on bespoke basis and addressing both individual and holistic needs. And finally, I think what I believe and what I'm still very struck by are the words of Nelson Mandela, who said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world." And I think personally, if there was ever a quote that will stand the test of time and resonates now more than ever, it is this. Given all that we've seen and endured over the past 2 years and the lasting effect and change that COVID has brought, it is about collaboration, using data-driven insights to perform and inform, and ultimately provide the tools that will be essential in being able to prepare and meet for those challenges of the future. My sincere thanks to all for your time this morning. I very much look forward to discussing with you further and very much enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate that your stimulating presentation from Coursera. Thank you very much. I'd like to know if Dr. Suleiman Ramon Yusuf is online for his presentation.
Good morning, I'm here.
Oh, good morning. You're welcome. We're glad to have you. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Let me try to stand on the existing protocol, but I must recognize Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundipe, Vice Chancellor of the University of Choice, supported ably by his deputies and other academics of the University of Lagos. The National Universities Commission is always proud of the University of Lagos, and we're always glad to participate in activities involving the University of Lagos, just as we do for many of all the other universities. Now, I will be speaking on a number of aspects of the work of the National Universities Commission, which, as we know, is the sole regulatory agency of government in Nigeria for university education. But for us at NUC, we see our role beyond that of a mere regulator. We see ourselves also as an enabler because a great proportion of our work has to do with building capacity across the system. Whereas we are concerned about the various dimensions of education, especially quality, we're of course interested also in the issue of access and equity. And of course, the role which universities must play in ensuring that our products are fit for purpose. Then, of course, in achieving this objective, the one major tool that we use is collaboration and partnership. So for us, a forum such as this to discuss the power of partnerships and collaboration really resonates with us. Now, so what are the major initiatives of the National Universities Commission in working collaboratively with our institutions and partners from the global north and south towards preparing Nigerian graduates for the future of work? I'm very happy to be making my intervention after decades very deep and eloquent presentation, particularly pertaining to the issue of skills. Now, for us, we believe that one of our major roles should be to put in place the appropriate regulatory framework to promote quality teaching, learning, and research in the Nigerian university system. Now, so one of the major steps that we have taken at NUC under the leadership of Professor Obaka Adamu Rashid is a proper scan of the university terrain, SWOT analysis that threw up all the challenges in all ramifications of university education in Nigeria. These we have encapsulated in the blueprint, our blueprint for the rapid revitalization of university education in Nigeria, 2019 to 2023. Now, that document is a compendium of the various challenges confronting Nigerian universities, as well as the steps that we need to take, including KPIs for measurement of long and medium-term achievement of the strategic goals. Now, so one major aspect of this blueprint on the rapid revitalization of university education in Nigeria is within our major forte, which is the aspect of setting national minimum academic standards. In this regard, we have embarked on a massive re-engineering of the curricula in the Nigerian university system to address current and future challenges that the universities face, and of course, to be able to prepare our universities to assume the role of universities of the future. Now, in this regard, the curriculum review is very critical, and as always, we have engaged all stakeholder groups, employers of labor, professional bodies, academies such as Academy of Science, Academy of Education, and all of these people, of course, and all the people in the universities in the various aspects under the 14 academic disciplines being taught in Nigeria. So we're about to finalize work on what we call the CC MAS, which is the new curriculum content for a minimum academic standard. Now, so, but the critical element of this is the need to recognize the future skills. And as I said, DK from Coursera, enunciated some of the major issues of skill. Now, our analysis of the Nigerian situation revealed very serious skill gaps. It is very clear in Nigeria that more often than not, employers tend to speak about our graduates as being unemployable, not work ready, and so on and so forth. Now, so what did we do, to attempt to address this problem? We approached the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, which is an umbrella body of private sector organizations in Nigeria. And we said, look, this issue of graduate unemployability, pointing fingers at our universities for producing graduates that, according to you, are not fit for purpose. We need to stop this blame game. Let us come together and address these challenges, because we are talking about our own future, our citizens, our children. Now, so this led to the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the academia, led by the NUC, and the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, bringing together captains of industry and so on. Now, so as I speak, we have agreed to forget about the blame game as we have started working seriously together to address some of these challenges. Now, a major outcome of this interaction of the MOU is the understanding that industries must identify roles for themselves in addressing, for example, employability issues. What are the skill gaps? What do employers of labor need from our graduates? How can the private sector play a role in providing the requisite industrial exposure for our students and lecturers so that they might be able to get this opportunity to cross the bridge that connects theory with practice? Now, so in this regard, of course, where we moved swiftly to establish the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, leading us to the Triple Helix Plus concept. Because you would agree that in addressing the issue of the fourth industrial revolution, innovation is critical. And unless you have a robust national system of innovation, which, as is the case in other parts of the world, is better when you have synergies between academia, industry, and government, with each of these spheres playing their role to ensure that we can galvanize action towards addressing national issues that will lead us in the direction of industrialization. So in this regard, our analysis, of course, beyond the issue of the curriculum, there's always the nagging question of the academia being prepared to, one, understand the future work, the future of work, understand the future skills that are required, some of which were properly highlighted by DK. Now, so what this means is that as we embark on this journey of re-engineering the curriculum, a critical step that must be taken is the identification of skill gaps on the part of the academics themselves. Therein lies the urgency to put in place robust programs for capacity building in both the area of subject matter expertise and, more importantly, for the development of appropriate pedagogical skills. Now, in this regard, again, collaboration is the tool, and that is why, for example, for quite some years now, we have partnerships with some universities, notably the University of Sussex, with whom, as a university system, we have been engaging them in a series of capacity building activities, leading to improved delivery methods and an enhancement in learning, in a properly organized teaching learning interaction. And of course, as part of this, the drive to promote technology integration into teaching and learning is also critical. So we continue to work with those partners like the University of London and University of Sussex in our quest to build capacity professional and institutional capacity across the Nigerian university system. Now, so if you take a look at all of these gamut of activities and we disaggregate them into various areas, all of these are ongoing collaborative activities. But again, as I said, the National Universities Commission works through the instrumentality of regulatory frameworks and policies to stimulate the achievement of the objectives of university education in Nigeria. One critical area of policy where we have intervened is the revision of our transnational education guidelines. Because some of the presenters this morning have made mention of some aspects of collaboration, such as joint degrees and so on. In a country like Nigeria, it is important to have an appropriate policy framework that enunciates the various models of collaboration that will meet our national objectives. So in these transnational guidelines enunciated by the National Universities Commission, we have broadened the scope for collaboration, whereby it is now legitimate for universities in Nigeria to collaborate with partners both in the global north and south to develop joint degrees, parallel degrees, and so on. University of London, for example, is working with some of our universities under this framework to identify some universities as teaching institutions that partner with the University of London towards the award of degrees of the University of London. So these are some of the steps that we continue to take to create the enabling environment to make it possible for our universities to build synergies with other universities across the globe to be able to leapfrog the achievement of some of the objectives despite the challenges, particularly in a resource restrained and constrained environment such as ours. Then, of course, central to this issue of developing the skills required for the future is the need to work assiduously towards bridging the digital divide. This is a critical element because there's a lot of assumption about how you can revise, say, your curriculum. You talk about machine learning, AI, unless the academics themselves are on the frontiers of knowledge in this area and have both the subject matter expertise and the pedagogical skills to be able to approach these new disciplines. Will just be copying from others without being able to implement properly. So for us, capacity building is critical. For instance, if you look at the disruptive effect of COVID-19, which of course we know is a global phenomenon, and as a speaker identified this morning, some of those disruptions are irreversible. Now, for us as a system, we found ourselves in the category of those that had to resort to emergency, what some people have called emergency digital teaching. But truth be told, many of the universities are not really prepared for proper e-learning, providing all the opportunities that students will need to be able to learn in a flexible environment without the constraint of space and pace. So this, for us also, is an ongoing project. And we must, whether we like it or not, thank the COVID-19 pandemic for the catalytic effect of converting a lot of techno-skeptics in the academia into new champions of digital education. So, of course, to make significant progress in this direction, again, we have to resort to partnerships and collaboration because the facilities that you require to put this machinery in motion on a sustainable basis will require some assistance and so on. So we believe very strongly that partnership is key going forward, and the whole notion of preparing universities of the future will have to be very carefully thought through. And of course, in this regard, we want to recognize some of our leading universities like the University of Lagos for playing a leadership role in this regard. Of course, many of our universities have all manner of collaborations and MOUs that they have signed. But it is important that we take into account clearly focused and well-defined interventions in specific areas, particularly in the areas of technology. Because what we find when you talk about collaboration, a lot of overseas universities we quote the challenge that we face in terms of access to university education and attempt to come into the Nigerian space with programs which sometimes, if you look at those programs against the national needs and priorities, may not actually be what our institutions and our country would need. So while we continue to work along the line of collaboration, it is important that we have our objectives very clearly defined and in sharp focus. So for us at the National Universities Commission, we will continue to support our universities and also on our own part, continue to work with our various partners across the globe as we strive towards the systematic approach of preparing our graduates for the future of work and of course, making our universities ready in all dimensions to be able to play the role expected of universities of the future in terms of the caliber of human power that universities are expected to churn out. So in this arrangement of the triple helix with industry, we are beginning to see some early results in terms of redefining the notion of industrial attachment. Because one of the problems people will find with graduates in Nigeria is the issue of skills. And we have found that one of the major problems is a lack of clarity about what constitutes an industry. In many instances today, because people tend to focus on industry representing international oil companies and the mega companies, many of the students who are expected to be, to go to industry, get some immersion and get some practical experience, end up working in offices where sometimes they just end up serving coffee. So we need to redefine the notion of industry. So we are refocusing the academia industry relationship along our reality, which is that the MSMEs are the sustainers of our economy. And we need to encourage universities to look more closely at small and medium-scale enterprises in the quest to developing entrepreneurial interactions. And of course, part of our understanding with the captains of industry under the NESG is the need to provide opportunity for entrepreneurial experiences for students in relevant sectors of the economy. And of course, how they can also work within the framework of the triple helix to ensure that we're able to close the skills gap when town and gown interact under that umbrella. We expect that going forward, academic staff will be opportune to go to industry for their sabbatical rather than going to only universities. We expect that the students will be properly engaged and allowed to interact with requisite machinery when they go for industrial attachment and not just left in the office of the managing director saying they might destroy some of the equipment. So we need to really close those gaps so that we can achieve the skills that our graduates dearly need for those that will be looking for jobs, where of course universities are encouraged to continue to pursue real entrepreneurship, because it is only an entrepreneurial university that will be likely to produce entrepreneurial graduates. That is if we understand that entrepreneurship is nothing other than a mindset of value addition. It is in that context that universities must continue to provide environments that allow students to think about value addition in whatever course of study they find themselves in. So at this point, all that is left for me is to thank the organizers of this webinar and all our partners and participants from across the world to thank you for the opportunity to say a few words about the role that NUC continues to play in the process of revitalizing university education and repositioning our universities for greater performance in all ramifications. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think you have actually said more than a few words. You have said very important remarks, bringing together the challenges that we're experiencing now, and the regulatory role of the NUC is actually something that is very important that we can't do without. Now, we're not ending this session, but we're going to move on to a panel discussion. That's why we're not stopping to take questions or comments now. I want to encourage all our online participants to please stay on. The session has not ended. We're only moving on to panel discussion. And this is being streamed live on YouTube, apart from the Zoom. So I want us to just stay on. I'm going to hand over to the moderator of this panel discussion, Professor Grace Otinwa. Please let me put our hands together for her.
Thank you very much. The Vice Chancellor, the Deputy Vice Chancellors here present. It is my pleasure to welcome those online and those on site to the second session. And the focus is on Universities of the Future collaborative program in the first industrial revolution, with a focus on the unique schools and programs at the University of Lagos. We have 4 panelists that will be addressing us. The first is the Director, School of Foundation Studies at the University of Lagos. The second is the Dean of the University of Lagos School of Postgraduate Studies. And the third is the Director, who is being ably represented by the Deputy Director, Institute of Continuing Education. And the last is the Executive Director, University of Lagos Business School. It is my pleasure to invite the Director, School of Foundation Studies, that is Professor Timothy Gbenga Nubi, who also leads the Center for Housing and Sustainable Development at the University of Lagos. He is passionate about finding lasting solutions to Nigeria's housing and urban management problems. At this time, he will be joining us online. Professor Timothy Gbenga Nubi, over to you, please.
Yeah. Thank you so much, the moderator and my Vice Chancellor, sir, the DVCs, and as many that are there. I'm so glad that despite the distance, I can still participate in this program. The School of Foundation Studies was established to expand access to tertiary education in Nigeria. I'm sorry I couldn't share I find it difficult to share my slides from here. Another participating foreign universities, it is meant to provide structured and intensive teaching of A-level based subjects by seasoned and qualified teaching personnel. The background, going down the memory lane, the school started as Diploma 2 program, which was later renamed Foundation Program and has metastasized into School of Foundation Studies to provide A-level teachings to learning programs. We have consistently been in the forefront of providing access to tertiary education with its vision and mission clearly defined and aligned to that of the University of Lagos. Our aim goal as an auxiliary organ of the university is to provide a well-structured and holistic A-level subject-based teaching and learning environment for admitted students for a period of 1 year. The students are required to undertake the joint university preliminary examination board examination at the end of their program. Successful candidates will thereafter gain direct entry admission into 200 levels undergraduate program of the university or any other universities affiliated to JUPEP and partnering university all over the world. In recent times, we have welcomed representatives of other universities in Nigeria studying the program and activities of the School of Foundation Studies, and have attested to the resourcefulness and reputation of the school over the years. We are committed to strengthening partnership with other foreign universities that are willing to provide scholarship opportunity to outstanding students. We are also leveraging on the good reputation of the University of Lagos as the University of First Choice and the nation's pride by institutionalizing excellence and optimal service delivery in all our engagement with students and the general public. Our vision is to be a top-class learning center for the pursuit of excellence in knowledge, in character, and access to tertiary education globally. The mission statement is to provide a conducive teaching and learning environment where staff and students will interact to set the right foundation for excellent academic pursuit. Our enrollment, admission into the school has grown consistently over the years and peaked in 2018-2019 academic session with about 3,000 students. However, enrollment dropped last year because of the pandemic. But the current exam that is going on, entrance exam, we are hopeful that we will have more than 2,000 students this session that will start next week. Nevertheless, the we are making efforts to make sure that we provide fully digitized teaching and learning process, as well as ensure students enjoy unfettered access to their teachers through the deployment of cutting-edge interactive and bespoke software solution. We want to look at our performance in the past few years. In the last 5 years, the candidates of the University of Lagos have been leading in the examination of the Joint University Preliminary Examination Board. In 2020 examination, our students came first in 6 subjects: physics, biology, chemistry, mathematics, music, and creative art. This suggests this success is hinged on our highly dedicated, resourceful, and experienced teachers. It is our hope that the University of Lagos School of Foundation Studies will continue to steer the flag of leadership and continue to produce the best students in JUPEP examination. I'm glad to report that our students lead their classes upon gaining admission into university, both locally and international university. For example, about 2 years ago, we got an email from the University of Birmingham in UK that one of our students who finished with us with 12 points gained admission to study law. And at that time, she was leading a class in Birmingham. So they wrote us to join them to congratulate the young lady. Partnerships with international prospects. The School of Foundation Studies is affiliated to about 90 universities in Nigeria who are running the JUPEP program, and students could apply to any of the universities without being denied admission once required cutoff points and specific subject combinations are met. The school also has partnership with foreign universities who are willing to admit our students into undergraduate 200 levels, including regulated scholarship to encourage academic excellence. The partner university have signed memorandums of understanding to ensure successful admission into the university abroad. Some of the universities are University of Bedfordshire, University of Central Leicester, University of West England in Bristol, University of Birmingham, University of Leicester, University of Nottingham, University of Surrey, University of Salford in Southampton, University of Dundee in Scotland, Aberdeen in Scotland, University of Plymouth, most of them Sheffield. We also have collaboration with about 4 universities in China, and our students, they gain admission into various universities in Canada massively. The multiplier effect of this partnership cannot be overemphasized. In view of some of the products of the foundation program, University of Lagos gain admission to this university. With the post-COVID experience and the presentation made today, especially from Professor Yusuf of NUC, telling us that there is a framework now and a policy direction towards joint program, spirit programs, and collaboration with foreign university. This is actually a very good news. And we say that the School of Foundation Studies is a fertile ground for international collaboration, because we produce about 2,000 to 3,000 students every year. And many of them, their parents have the capacity to send them abroad. What we are doing on our part in the School of Foundation is to make sure that we negotiate. About 2 years ago, before the COVID, we traveled almost the length and breadth of UK, working with, negotiating with these foreign universities on how we can have reduced scholarship. And many of them, Dundee, Aberdeen, we are working together to make sure that we have a common template, that the rebate is the same across the board. We are at that forefront of championing international collaboration and opening the door for our students to enjoy this. But with these split programs and joint degree, then we have the whole frontier of opportunity before us to really go into this full international collaboration. Well, that is what we are doing in the School of Foundation Studies. And I believe that the world is prepared, is ready to really key into, and we are equally ready to key into what is going on in the world today. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm grateful.
Thank you very much, Professor Timothy Nubi, Director, School of Foundation Studies. Thank you for highlighting the brief history of the School of Foundations at the University of Lagos, student enrollment, nature of collaboration, academic performance of our students, and scholarship opportunities. Thank you for showing to us the leadership role being played by University of Lagos in the establishment of the program and other universities that have benefited from the program. Thank you. Now we move to the Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies, and it is my pleasure to invite Professor Alabi Shuneye to share with us his presentation on the various programs of the University of Lagos School of Postgraduate Studies and how it is situated in the universities of the future. Professor Alabi Shuneye is a researcher, and he collaborates with others in various countries in Africa, United States, Canada, India, and China. Professor Shuneye, over to you.
Thank you very much. Let me stand by existing protocol. And I want to use the opportunity to congratulate our University of Lagos, Nigeria, and our partners across the world for this successful program, the second of its type ever. We've heard about what is meant by the fourth industrial revolution, the key values, the notables, and a lot of other information that we need not waste time upon. But let me quickly say that primarily, productivity has increased. There is efficiency and improved quality. Safety is more guaranteed in all facets of human endeavor, including education. Decision-making with database tools are the orders of the day. Development of specialized products are there. Competitiveness is now more than ever, objectively. And there is drastic reduction in physical travels and its advantages. Security. The Lighthouse is one of its best in the country, courtesy of our viral management. We have about 25,000 being accommodated currently on one program or the other. In particular, just some 4 months ago, we admitted about 8,800 students for our various programs. 615 of them in about 69 departments and 4 centers of excellence. Many others have their papers, their programs at various points of approval stages. God willing, in the next 1 month, we shall be interviewing another 10,000 students to shortlist candidates for the 2021-22 session. Currently, because of technology, because of the Industrial Revolution, we could run parallel programs for 2 sessions successfully. And both the students and staffs, they are finding it very, very enjoyable, as well as trying to motivate others to fall in line. University of Lagos has been collaborating with others, as noted by the Vice Chancellor yesterday, and we will continue doing that both locally and internationally. Some of our students are foreign. We even have more than the number ever received before, and they are sponsored by all as sundry, private sponsors, public, international, and even NGOs, and they are doing very well. We have opportunities for interactions across all areas of activities, starting from lectures online, sometimes hybrid, including examinations Our last exams of 15,000 plus students, from whom we selected, we chose 9,000 was done online successfully. The CITS, the PG school, the management did everything possible to make it seamless, and there was little or no hitches. We are very much concerned about our doctoral programs. And in particular, our students have been able to make use of the opportunities provided by the digital age to carry out successful thesis and other dissertation programs. Do we talk of the pre-thesis era where they are able to choose their titles more comfortably, interact with supervisors and potential supervisors even within and outside the shores of the country, source for funds, manage thesis finance, and also plan their thesis appropriately. During the thesis writing, field and laboratory works are now more interesting. Data and other analytical tools, the same thing. Working with professional experts from within and outside has been more enjoyable. We talk of discussions of findings and also being able to conceptualize our contributions to knowledge, even at defense of thesis. Right now, we have 2 theses going on at the PG school premises. In one of the internal supervisors is online because she had to go on official assignments to another part of the country. Rather than postponing the defense, we just created Zoom account and then the defense is going on fine. The other one is by an external examiner who is also online. The facilities provided by the university has helped us a lot in this wise. Of course, publication of the thesis is very important. You don't publish, then you perish. Now, after post-thesis, the post-thesis writing, the defense, as I said, is really very robust now. The graduation activities, last time we had graduation online, but we allowed our PhD students to join physically. Our students are more, our products are more competitive in terms of employment over there, and the career development plans are more enhanced. Our language in PG school remains linkages, linkages, and linkages. Let me go on by saying that, well, some of us have seen the Industrial Revolution, the digital age, as a double-edged sword. But when we weigh the balance, we see that we have much more to gain than to lose. If you look at the slides there, impacts of on the universities are usually sorry, just 1 minute. Thank you. Yeah, the impacts are more positive, as said. However, the more important aspect of it is that the dull aspects of challenging human activities have become more happier and with higher productivity. We can now sit down in the corner of our sitting room, of our garden, and give lectures. Some even listen to lectures while in transit. You see students stranded in vehicles, and yet they are able to follow, and then their contributions are very, very interesting. The revolution has supported our access to funding. The university has told us a lot of this about what we are able to do in the past 1-2 years, courtesy of our Vice Chancellor. The traditional education systems definitely has facilitated the current levels and technological advancements. We don't throw away the old system, the two of them still going, they go around each other in pari passu. The financial supports and funding activities for our students has also increased. But some still see this, that the technology has taken over their jobs. This is only feasible if they refuse to change, and the change is just imminent. You either be there or you are lost. Well, for the universities of the future, we can only say that the solution rests in the strategic thinking of the management, on how to utilize the credentials, experiences, and trust of their staff and facilities for the new services, the leadership potentials, which I think some university can boast, including our University of First Choice and our nation's pride. Digital innovation and acceptance of paradigm shifts will remain our keywords for survival in any university that is already growing into billions, and the number will continue increasing. We in the universities must also try to evolve to survive the future challenges. Thank you very much.
Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies, thank you very much for sharing with us the nature of the school, the number of programs, the various departments in which they are domiciled. Thank you for letting us know the fact that University of Lagos has embraced technology and has moved from the typical traditional face-to-face teaching to a blended mode of teaching. At this time, we'll take the third member of the panelists, and that is Dr. Temitope Olabisi Onumia. She is representing the director of the Institute of Continuing Education. Dr. Onumia is very strong in research, and she is a team lead at the Terrestrial Biodiversity Conservation Cluster at the Tedford Center of Excellence and the Ecosystem Management. She is also a research fellow at the Institute of Nigeria-China Development Studies. It is my pleasure to invite her to share with us the activities of the Institute.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much, Ma, and thank you to the Vice Chancellor for the opportunity to represent my director here this morning. We at the Institute of Continuing Education are established to ensure that the undergraduate part-time programs are taught efficiently and at par with the day counterparts. We are to work to enable the workforce in Metropolitan Lagos benefit from continuous academic and professional training and development. Our objective is to add value to the existing part-time degree programs by strengthening them in terms of quality and quantity of both teachers, infrastructure, and facilities. To do this, we have a vision to ensure lifelong learning and realization of creative potential of students using quality, flexible, and accessible forms of training. Our mission is to support the University of Lagos promise, which is to provide relevant, timely, accessible, continuing education in a format and medium that complements the personal and professional obligations of our candidates. From inception, the University of Lagos established some part-time programs in the professional programs such as accounting, law, and mass communication. This improved with time as other faculties begin to establish part-time programs, and there was a need for proper coordination in order to ensure quality is being delivered. And that is why the Institute of Continuing Education was established. We work by doing consistent monitoring and evaluation of programs. Our programs run in the evenings, they are part-time, and we have both the academic and the professional programs running at the same time. Our audience are students, teachers, adult learners, and workers, and we provide strictly undergraduate programs as the postgraduate part-time programs are handled by the School of Postgraduate Studies. We have a team of personnel, beginning from our director, deputy director, and a team of admin officers who work with various participating faculties in order to ensure proper delivery of the programs. Our programs are domiciled in the faculties, so the IC is not the one really controlling what happens in the program, but we coordinate the efforts of the various faculties and the programs in order to achieve a good delivery. So in the faculties, we have coordinators who help in coordinating the various activities of the programs that are domiciled within their faculty. And at present, we have the Faculty of Education, Faculty of Social Sciences, Management Sciences, Arts and Environmental Sciences currently participating in the HICE program. The largest participants are found in education, which are strictly the sandwich program, followed by the Faculty of Arts. In Faculty of Arts, we have 6 programs running, ranging from creative arts, English, European languages, history to philosophy. In management sciences, we have 3 programs. In social sciences, we now have 4 programs with a new approval of the psychology program. And in Faculty of Education, we have about 24 programs running in 6 different departments within the faculty. For us in ICE, we believe that the future is now and is here with us. Our students are such that they are trying to balance family life, their career path, and they still want to have a life and get educated. So we support both blended traditional and non-traditional teaching methods. And in this last session, we actually moved some of our programs fully online in order to ensure that our candidates are able to access the needed education for their advancement, irrespective of the location in which they find themselves. We study in multiple modes, switching seamlessly from being fully on campus to having blended lifestyle where they are sometimes on campus and at other times they are learning online in order to suit their lifestyle. We are also working with industry partners in order to co-create qualifications that would respond to their own need. So it's not just about our own established curriculum, but we are also looking at working with them to see their needs and be able to develop our curricula in order to meet their various needs in the industry. From being able to study wherever you are, this is the future that most of us are looking at globally at this time. We are moving from being restricted to having to come physically to undertake our programs to actually being able to study irrespective of our location. We are also switching our focus from teachers to students. And in this wise, we are looking at situations where our students are able to choose their own modules and their mode of learning, so they can decide if they want to be online or be offline and still be able to get value that they so desire and have applied for. We are trying to move between borders, and we are gaining an international outlook in the way we deliver our courses and the way we interact with our students. We are looking forward to a future where we can have an innovation lab where education can be taught in applied mode. Our students are able to get familiar with the use of high-tech equipment, just like our lecturers alike. And we have begun to work in this direction by doing series of workshops and symposia with our teaching staff in order for them to get comfortable in this kind of mode of learning, and also to be able to reach out and teach the students, considering their specific requirements, because they are adults, they are working. And so we want to move from the point where we're telling, do this, to getting them to actually reason outside the box and do what they need to do within the confines of the classroom or online class as it may apply. We admit on the average about 2,000 students on a yearly basis, and we are partnering with various national bodies that are national professional bodies that are related to our programs in order for us to be able to get students that would go through our programs and come out employable even beyond the borders of Nigeria as it may be. That's what we do in ICE. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present this.
Thank you, Deputy Director. She has been able to highlight the Institute's objectives, their activities, and the fact that the future is now. She has been able to share with us what they are planning to do and how they can collaborate with other institutions. Thank you. Now we move on to the last panelist, and that is the Director of the University of Lagos Business School. He is Professor Abraham Oshinubi. He's a medical doctor with over 34 years of clinical experience and 22 years of teaching. I want to observe that indeed is an expert on teaching innovation, especially in the design and use of student-centered learning. And he's a team lead for case-based studies in the College of Medicine of the University of Lagos. He is an entrepreneur and organizational strategist. At this time, I want to invite the director, who is the maiden and the current executive director of the school, Professor Oshinubi. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ma, and thank you, everyone. And I rest on the existing protocol. So I will be talking on universities of the future as it concerns, especially the University of Lagos Business School. I see, to start with, a future that is already here. So just imagine yourself entering a bank in the very nearest future without telling the teller what exactly you came for, and the teller hands you over exactly what you wanted. That is the future, which is already here. I also foresee a future in which there will be co-equals of humans and machines at homes, in places of work, and even in schools. That is the future we are at now. I will be going through in quick succession my presentation in the following outline. And at the third industrial revolution, education was no longer between students and teachers. Instead, it took a more network approach, as we have seen already, whereby students are having direct connection with various information sources all over the world. Now, we are in the fourth industrial revolution. Anyway, some of my colleagues, including me, I belong to that school of thought, that we are already in the fifth industrial revolution. The good thing is that the fourth industrial revolution has merged imperceptibly into the fifth industrial revolution, and we are going to witness monumental changes. By the way, what I mean by that is that there will be convergence and emergence of artificial intelligence, big data, bringing Internet of Things all together and building on previous discoveries in other revolutions. And the good thing about all this is that schools, including University of Lagos Business School, must be able to sustain this, must be able to see the future and capitalize on it positively. So teaching and learning landscape will witness tremendous change as never witnessed before in terms of the faculty, in terms of teaching, in terms of non-teaching staff, and in terms of studentship. And one thing that is going to be very prominent in this revolution is students' voice. Students' voice. Students will become partners. And coincidentally, that is exactly the policy at the University of Lagos Business School. For example, we don't have students at the University of Lagos Business School. All what we have are partners and participants. And there is a reason for this, because the power has just shifted from the teachers to the students. Voice of the students will become more prominent in this revolution that we have just started. And way back in 2014, I published this. Signaling the incoming of a paradigm shift that we foresaw then, but already that has overtaken us already by now. However, there will be serious challenges in our places of work. There will be uncertainty. There will be serious relativity. There will be radical changes in workplaces. Like I've said, machines and humans will co-work together very soon. And therefore, the education industry, including business schools, higher education institutions, must be ready for this. They must therefore alter the way they do things. They must alter even their entry requirements. Problem solving will become the key issue, as we have seen at the University of Lagos Business School, whereby we focus on skill acquisition. We are not just interested in getting our certificates. No, we are interested in skill acquisition, the ability to be able to use acquired skills in several different locations, in several different climes, in several different domains that have never been witnessed. And that is why we lay emphasis more on skill acquisition rather than paper qualification. As students leave university and other business schools, one thing is going to be very, very prominent. Nearly all our graduates will begin to work with artificial intelligence. We have already reached that stage in which is going to be on autopilot. We can't stop this. It's going to happen. And that is why at the University of Lagos Business School, we have adequately prepared our participants, our partners. And if I'm asked to summarize the fourth industrial revolution, is basically the combination of humans and machines. And we are there already. So the goals of business school, the goals of universities will be to ensure quality of learning, to enable learners get the latest knowledge through exploratory research. And of course, if you want, you can't offer what you don't have, meaning that business schools, universities must be prepared. And we have captured this succinctly in our core values: uniqueness, leadership integrity, business innovation, and of course, synergy between town and gown, synergy between participants and facilitators, synergy between students and other faculty members. So moving forward now, there would not be border. So I call universities of the future as borderless university, whereby universities, business school will begin to take monumental international outlook. There will be strong linkages, strong partnerships, international relationships. And that is why University of Lagos Business School is now at the forefront. For example, during this COVID period, our participants never lost a single day. You know, we conducted examinations, even 2 semesters of examination, 3 semesters of coursework online during this COVID time. And because the universities and business schools are now borderless in nature. So radical disruption, and this is because there will be serious radical disruption driven largely by this new work order, because the work order dictates what the business schools and universities are supposed to produce. Globalization, rapid technological change will force university to even define their role. The truth is that the roles of certain universities will become questionable if they are not able to adapt. And that is why University of Lagos Business School will provide our students with leadership quality to meet the future needs, which is already here, as I've noted. So non-traditional teaching methods will become obsolete, will become the norm, while the traditional teaching method will become obsolete in nature. For example, students will begin to study at their own time, we begin to even audit courses, we begin to take what I now call is not just going to be blended now. I call it augmented or flexible blended learning, whereby for a semester, a student may decide, look, I want to take online this time around. The next semester, I want to come back to the campus, which is what we are going to see at the University of the Future, which business school of University of Lagos is already doing. So there will be blurring of boundaries between physical and digital biological worlds, AI, robotics, Internet of Things, genetic engineering, quantum leaping, high-speed internet. You know, people are already talking about 5G. We are going to move beyond 5G very soon, and the technology is already almost here. So there will be, what we are saying in essence is that learners will develop reliable compass and navigation. That is exactly the skills that we pass to our participants at the University of Lagos Business School. And the essence of this is that so that they get equipped for the future work, which is already here. Again, curriculum design will change, operation will change, evaluation will change. So we, at the University of Lagos Business School, which is what we have advocated a long time, what we do is that it's not just saying industry practitioners, our partners. No, we are co-investigators. We are partners in the sense that at the curriculum design, at the very inceptions, they are invited on board. At the operation, they are invited on board. At the evaluation, they are invited on board. And if this is not done, you will largely be robbing the students the benefits of transmission of this functional skill that is highly needed, because it is not based on what you know now or what you have on the certificate, but what you can do very well. And that is why at the University of Lagos Business School, we involve our industry practitioners. As a matter of fact, it is the policy at the University of Lagos Business School that no single facilitator, no single lecturer facilitates a single course. It is always in conjunction with an academician and at least one highly experienced industry practitioner. That is our policy. So there will be new approach to learning. At the University of Lagos Business School, our mode of interactions require participants to learn how to adapt quickly to new situations, because the business situation, the leadership situation is highly dynamic, highly relative, highly uncertain. There will be a lot of radical changes. And that is why we adopt at the University of Lagos Business School what I call accelerated remote learning, case-based, problem-based. All these are to give our participants, our graduates, the soft skill they need to succeed in the very nearest future. That includes complex problem solving, social skills, and process skills. These are high-order cerebral functions that you do not ordinarily get from a teacher who assumes the position of a guru and dictates to the audience or to the learners exactly what they need. So we've already published some of our work already concerning this way back down. We saw it coming and we capitalized on it. So now, going to our collaborations. Collaborations will be extensive in this revolution. It is the future of leadership. It is the future of it is the future of the industry. When I say industry now, I mean the knowledge industry. So you either collaborate or you do not compete positively. So universities, in collaboration with governments and with the industry, with the business partners. As a matter of fact, at the University of Lagos Business, we just inaugurated not too long ago a program we called Visit a Company a Month initiative, and we've seen tremendous responses. I was happy when the NUC Executive Secretary mentioned it in terms of immersion, in terms of pre-graduation fellowship and post-graduation fellowship. We have already had that in mind with our collaborations with our industry practitioners. So university, I see university as a place of collaboration and entrepreneurship. My University of the Future, as we have seen at the University of Lagos Business School, is where university and industry are co-located under the same roof. In the University of Lagos Business School, we are not bridging gap between theory and practice. We are literally bringing town under the same roof with the academician. So it's not about bridging any gap. We are bringing them under the same roof, teaching together. So university will become principle of innovation that actively apply research for community impact. So what do we see? What about our University of Lagos collaboration? We have collaborated with FinTech, a lot of institutions already. A program known as the FinTech Innovations and Regulatory Technology is going to start this next month. And we've had a lot of MOUs with our industry practitioners and also other international organizations that has similar objectives with us, including Harvard Business School. As a matter of fact, it is a matter of policy at the University of Lagos Business School. At least 4 of our cases per subject per semester must come from the Harvard case review. And again, we also collaborated with some industries in Nigeria, for example, Platform Capital and other business institutions around the world. For example, the Nomadic Business School. We've had serious discussions with MIT Sloan Business School, and the initial discussions are ongoing with so many others. This is what I mentioned here, like the Visit a Company a Month initiative. We've had tremendous feedback from them and a lot of collaboration. For example, some of them already branding meeting rooms for us. And because of all this that we have done, we have had a couple of recognition. For example, the University of Lagos Business School is currently the only business school in Nigeria to have been admitted to the Business Graduate Association based in London. And we are very proud of this. And in May 2021, the University of Lagos Business School was admitted to the fraternity of the Association of African Business Schools. And if you combine the trio of recognition of NUC, of BGA, of Association of African Business School in Nigeria, we are currently the only business school in Nigeria to have those trio recognitions. And we are so proud of it as well. And initial discussions are ongoing with the Association of Colleges to Advanced Colleges, School of Business based in Florida. Okay. These are some of our programs. We currently run Executive MBA, Executive MPH. We also run some programs in Islamic finance, now that we call it the non-interest finance banking. We are going to start very soon Executive MPA, Executive MRM. We're also starting a lot of fintech programs, and of course, we are going to start a DBA program as well. So in summary and conclusion, indeed, we are in the second machine age, but that age represents revolutionary changes to everything at home, at work, at school. The transition is going to be profound. The pace will be unprecedented. Like I've mentioned earlier, machines and humans will cohabitate, they will co-work, they will co-facilitate. However, the truth is that a lot of jobs will be lost. It has been estimated by 2025, about 65 million jobs will be lost. But the good thing is that machines have not come to take our job. Double that amount of jobs will be created as well. So it's just good for us as business school and as individuals to align ourselves with the 4th and the 5th industrial revolution. And UBL's, University of Lagos Business School, is bound to be a major key player. So the rigid traditional teaching modes can no longer match the state-of-the-art technology. And that is why the University of Lagos Business School, we currently have the state-of-the-art facilities in Nigeria, one of the best facilities you can think of around the world. Because before we started, we explored, went to the Ivory Leagues of the whole world, and then we amalgamated everything that they had, and then we brought them to the University of Lagos Business School. And that is why I can beat our chest that we are currently championing the so-called 4th industrial revolution that is merging, like I said, imperceptibly into the 5th industrial revolution. It's going to be learner-centered culture, state-of-the-art facilities, blended learning. We no longer will be the mode now that I now call it the augmented blended learning. So in this future phase in which we are now, universities and business schools, we shift from being self-focused to focusing on others. It's not going to be as business as usual when we focus on ourselves, but we've got to focus on the community, on the student. ULBS already is in this phase, and we're in this mode. Several collaborations with industry. Mode of facilitation has changed. Co-facilitation is the in thing, such as using case-based and problem-based, like I mentioned earlier. Another characteristic of this trend will be internationalization of both students. Like I said, it will be our business school is going to be borderless, where we can take on students and facilitators from anywhere in the world. So ULBS admission into BGA and ALBS is a testimony to all this. So robust strategy on research enterprise. Coincidentally, again, last month we set up the research grants and publication units to advance the culture of excellence for research at the University of Lagos Business School. The key to success is collaboration across geographics, across sectors, and across discipline. And finally, I see an exciting place and hyper-smart citadel of planning for universities and business school, and especially University of Lagos Business School is going to take over. Thank you.
It is very difficult to stop the executive director who is loaded with information on the University of Lagos Business School. He described to us the various programs they are running, the mode of delivery, recognitions they have received, various collaborations with companies and institutions within and outside the country, such as Harvard University. Indeed, they've made the down to mate with town. He emphasized the fact that we are no longer in the fourth industrial revolution, but that we are in the fifth industrial revolution, and that technology will be the order of teaching. Thank you very much. At this time, I want to invite Professor Bameke to take the question and answer session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Would like to ask that those who have more questions should please put them on the chat box, and we'll ask those questions. I believe that some of these questions are for earlier presenters in the first panel presentation that we had from our international participants. I hope that they're still online. Okay, so one of the questions says, the collaborative case study shared by Professor Sarah Howie was described as successful. Are there immediate plans to move this forward, and how? Professor Howie, are you still online? Oh, she's no longer online. Okay. The second question, so also to one of the international speakers, DK Oneawu, I can ask the question. I'm not sure if he's also online. It says, DK Oneawu mentioned the skills map for the fourth industrial revolution to include AI, emerging technologies, cloud computing, etc. These skills require time and a certain inclination. What do you consider the most urgent steps for Nigerian universities to take to ensure the acquisition of these skills? I think in terms of the acquisition, maybe for staff and students, for everyone, what do you consider to be the most urgent steps that Nigerian universities need to take to ensure an acquisition of these skills? So I see you are still online. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you very much for the question. I think certainly what we are endeavoring to do is working very closely with each and every individual university that we come across, because every circumstance, of course, is very different. We have a team within Coursera, both implementation managers, university partnership directors like myself, and skills transformation experts who work with the faculty, the Dean's Office, Head of Academic Affairs, library, e-learning, digitization, innovation departments within institutions to accurately curate specific programs and content which sit alongside your offering. But the most important thing, I think, in terms of skills, is that we also demonstrate an offering which is actually called skill sets. Now, what skill sets do are effectively assess your own level of competence and take you up into incremental steps, which effectively is that elongated and evolutionary learning journey that I mentioned earlier. It is about building upon knowledge at key steps, again, in line with your curriculum, which obviously fit in well with it. But the importance is we are looking obviously more at self-paced learning where possible. But again, there are certain skill sets that we can set and yourselves can set as institutions where once an individual hits a conversary level of competence, they move on to the beginner level, then on to media and on to advanced. So it is a very organic journey that you would take, that anyone would take. So I hope that answers some level of, I hope that answers the question in some level. Otherwise, I'm happy to elaborate even further if you wish.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Pleasure.
We have a third question, and it says, in what ways will the NUC ensure that regulatory frameworks for partnerships and collaborations are made well known to universities before such collaborations are established? I'm also not sure if Dr. Ramon,
I'm here.
Thank you, sir. Good to know that you are there. So I read the question again. It says, in what ways will the NUC ensure that regulatory frameworks for partnerships and collaborations are made well known to universities before such collaborations are established? I think this is in view of what you said earlier, that some universities are already establishing partnership and collaborations. So how well will universities be informed ahead of such collaborations? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. The very short answer. Traditionally, universities have always subsisted on collaboration, so it's not a new thing. What we are about now is to say that for purposes of transnational education, because of its implication, of course, there are some requirements. For example, how would the university in Nigeria sign an MOU with a university in a country with which Nigeria has no diplomatic ties, for example? You see that if there are issues of legal nature, such a university will be found stranded. And that's just on one hand. But the short answer is, we do not believe in winking in the dark at NUC. As I said, we don't work for ourselves, we work for the Nigerian people, the Nigerian universities. So all our guidelines are available on the website, except for those that are yet to get to the last stage of final approval. The Transnational Education Guidelines are already available. They may not be on the website because there's the last stage of approval that is yet to go through. But our expectation is that every university in Nigeria, particularly when it comes to very critical decisions like joint degrees, how do you sign an MOU to award a joint degree with a university without knowing what the national policy is? So to that extent, we have, as I said, we have articulated those guidelines to cover the various aspects and dimensions. For example, in the past, we did not give our nod to franchising, but now in well thought through processes, a university may engage in franchise with some foreign universities if they meet all the conditions, including, as I said in my presentation, the need to ensure that the programs that will be run under such an agreement are in tandem with national priorities. For example, STEM as opposed to administration or management. So those guidelines, for example, our guidelines on open and distance learning, which is the ICT-enabled supported blended learning, has been on our website for years. So in the coming days, these guidelines will be finally approved and will be uploaded same to our website. But in the interim, we expect that any university that is thinking of engaging with foreign universities for purposes of pilot degrees, joint degrees, articulations, tuning articulations, and even campus, what you call branch campuses. So these are some of the 12 models that are permissible under the new regulatory framework. So that's going to be my immediate reaction to that question.
Thank you very much. Thank you for those comments. Now, I'm going to have Dr. Ibrahim answer the questions meant for Professor Howie. But before he does that, I would just like to tell us that this session will continue at 2 p.m. Another session will come up at 2 p.m. Although we're going to have a break, but the webinar will still be on. We're supposed to round about 12:30, but in case we have a number of questions, we'll just take the questions now before I hand over to the DVC. Okay. Okay. Please. Oh, okay, Prof, please, you can ask the question.
Thank you very much, Prof. Let me appreciate the very insightful presentations we have had this morning. I have two innocent questions. Most of the presentations today have placed a lot of emphasis on teaching and learning. And I was wondering, in this new age that we're thinking of, where you have a lot of disruptive technologies that will come into place, in what ways do we handle research? Because research in the traditional sense is always done within the confines of brick and mortar in the classroom, sorry, in the laboratory. So, in as much as we are thinking of the collaborative efforts with other institutions and other nations, I am also worried about the prescriptions we also have for research. You see, part of the reasons I am raising this is that this semester or this session, the University of Lagos actually conducted most of its programs online in a blended format. And you always have the issues of research supervision coming up, especially for undergraduate students. So I would like them to comment on that. Then the second one, I believe that maybe the Professor Rahman Yusuf of NUC may assist us with that. In view of the fact that most of the prescriptions will enable us go global, I am looking at the accreditation programs we have for universities. Are there some plans to begin to think of international certifications, which will be utilized to address some of the core competencies and the regulatory issues moving forward? Thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to comment? Hello?
Yes, you can go ahead. Please make a comment.
Let me talk briefly about that of research. If you recall in my presentation, when I was talking about the triple helix framework of academia, industry, and government, I did mention, or maybe I did not, but there's an aspect of research in that area where NUC and third front, representing, of course, a government in this case, are working together with the NESG and the organized private sector through the promotion of development-oriented research in specific thematic areas, of STEM, for example. So for us, as I also said in my introduction, we are keenly interested in research as one of the core activities of universities. As you know, it's one of the tripods on which universities stand. So to that extent, in our own dispensation, in our jurisdiction, Third Fund is the, the custodian of the funds. And I'm happy to say that the federal government continues to increase the National Research Fund. Now it's over 5 billion. So we have, Third Fund is plugged into that triple helix arrangement. And the objective, as you have already mentioned, now there are centers of excellence. One of them is in UNILAG under the Third Fund intervention. So these are areas of modalities by which we are ensuring that the research function is not neglected. You also recall in my presentation that I was talking about the necessary connection between a robust national system of innovation and even the issue of the future of universities and the future of work. Because any serious-minded university knows that new knowledge should come from research. Therefore, it is a situation that when we are talking about teaching and learning, we are actually also inferring that there should be a tight connection in terms of research-led teaching, not teaching based on oral tradition or teaching based on the whims and caprices of a guru. So we expect that all of this working in tandem in terms of the tripodal mandates of universities should help us as we move towards the fourth and fifth industrial revolution. So that is my answer in terms of that of research. You asked some question about collaboration. Yeah, the point is, when you talk about these joint degrees, I've always had to insist that when we look at partnerships, for example, I remember I was invited by British Council to talk at a meeting at the European Union Parliament. And we're talking, for me, what is the meaning of a partnership if we agree that you cannot clap with one hand? So any partnership that will be meaningful in terms of outcome must be between partners that can replicate the two hands clapping. In fact, even if you have one paralyzed hand and one good hand, the best you can get is a muffled sound in the form of a clap. So we always would like to see universities putting their best foot forward, and ensuring that they go into real partnerships where they can establish a two-way street, not a one-way or unidirectional flow of influence and resources. So for those collaboration that we are envisaged in our transnational education guidelines, we are looking at a case like, say, University of Lagos is not a new university. There must be some way by which University of Lagos may even collaborate within the context of South-South collaboration with some university in Sudan or some university in Ivory Coast to import some of the best programs of UNILAG to that kind of jurisdiction where UNILAG will be the senior partner. You understand what I mean? So we have a broad spectrum of collaborative arrangements that are envisaged in our TME guidelines. So, and of course, we are here to give very solid policy support, and in some cases, even financial support to ensure that we are not always at the receiving end as a beggar nation. Our partnership should be well thought through so that we are actually going to be partners and not parasites on our so-called partners.
Thank you very much for that comment. I'll hand over to Professor Shinobi just to give another response, just for 1 minute, because we need to close.
Thank you, ma'am. In the fourth and fifth industrial revolution, research will no longer be measured by the number of papers, but by impact on the society. And that's exactly my submission at the Doctoral Academy that was inaugurated last month in Abuja. So what that means is that what we have been doing so far is we go to the companies, we say we use them as subjects. But now what I'm advocating now is that we are PIs together, co-investigators. So that is the model we are talking about now. So any research that does not impact either on the society, on governance, or on change in behavior is no longer considered as research. And of course, things will change now that because of Of course, a lot of people are doing research because of paper publications. But in this revolution again, it's not going to be as business as usual. So it's going to be based on impact on the society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Dr. Ibrahim, please can you quickly provide an answer to the question meant for Professor Sarah Ho? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The joint school that we have with University of Stellenbosch is not an ad hoc one, and it's not formed on a short-term basis. It's going to be, for the long term. And we started it about 2 years ago. We had a physical one at the University of Lagos, and we had two at the University of Stellenbosch, and it was because of COVID that we had to do a virtual one this year. And we're hoping to have another one very, very soon. In fact, on top of that, we're also discussing with the University of Saskatchewan, who are actually meant to have a tripartite arrangement, whereby we have University of Lagos, University of Saskatchewan, and University of Stellenbosch run a joint doctoral school together. So we are there for the long haul. And the other one, which is the African Student Leaders Network, is also not a short-time program. We're there for the long haul. We just started, it started with only the two of us, University of Lagos and University of Stellenbosch, and we had about 17 other universities join in, and a lot of other universities will still join in. So we are there for the long term. Thank you very much.
Thank you. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor and the Deputy Vice Chancellor Development Services, I want to appreciate all the facilitators at this session. Professor Timothy Nubi, who joined us online, Professor Alabi Shuneye, our only female, who had a very short notice. Thank you for coming. And Professor Abraham Oshinubi, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and your time with us. And our moderator, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. As we take steps to round up this session, I would like to express sincere appreciation of the time spent by our participants online. I want to appreciate Professor Wim de Villiers, the Vice Chancellor, Stellenbosch University, who gave the keynote address, pardon me, Professor Sarah Howe of Stellenbosch University, Professor Kim Dale of University of Dundee, United Kingdom. DK Onero is still online. We want to say thank you very much, Director of University Partnership, Coursera. We also want to appreciate most sincerely Dr. Suleiman Ramon Yusuf, Deputy Executive Secretary Academics of the National Universities Commission. Thank you very much for staying on all through, and thank you for the insightful contributions. Ladies and gentlemen, other participants online, we want to say thank you. It's been a very worthwhile time, very stimulating sessions that we have had here today. I want to say a big thank you to you, and we'll see you at 2 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.